being recorded. So first question, just like to get approval on the working group meeting minutes for our last meeting, which was the demo by Marco. Does anybody have any remaining comments or concerns about that? Anybody to give me an approval on this? I saw a nod from Kyle.
Yeah, I got
Okay.
you.
Good,
Okay.
as far as I'm concerned.
All right, thank you. Next thing we had on the agenda, Ted was going to give us an update on the launch secure features. I know he's been doing some work on that, so it's all yours, Ted.
Yeah, so instead of adding the launch secure functionality directly into ROS launch, they decided that rather than introduce the dependency on NoDL and kind of, kludge this whole new argument and SROS dependency and key generation code into the ROS2 launch stack, that they would create an extension system for ROS2 launch where you could add arbitrary flags to it, and with that, inject code into the ROS launch stack. I was expecting this to be a much longer term project, but Jeff Briggs banged it out, got it done, and currently has a pull request up for the extension system to launch ROS, which is the package that implements ROS2 launch. Along with that, there is the separate package, ROS2 launch _ security. That's the proof of concept. It's my original implementation of the secure flag as a standalone package that injects itself using their plugin system. And currently there's a pull request up on launch _ ROS for the extension system. We'd like to get that reviewed and merged in so that we can create this ROS2 launch security package on our own.
Do you have links, Ted?
Yeah, let me gather them.
While he's doing that, Roger, I know that you've been working on some designs for ROS2 launch itself. I don't know if this slots into anything you're wanting to do, but it really does open up a whole slate of new possibilities.
Yeah, I definitely want to take a look at this and see where that is. I actually think I'm getting fairly close on getting the stuff I've done ready. I've gotten through the hairiest bits. I'm just trying to tie up some use cases and got a couple of little things to add. So hopefully that's going to be ready to go before too long here, and it'll be interesting to see how much overlap there is with this and how much it's kind of independent but in the same package.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah. So the first one is this pull request from Jeff Briggs. And once again, if we could get some reviews on this going, that would be very appreciated. And the implementation, we probably are going to look at re-implementing or just cleaning up the repo, since this was a proof of concept Jeff banged out. But if you guys want to see the security extension, it is at, hunting down the tab. Is at this address. So yeah, that's it on the update to the launch ROS secure extension.
I threw one more link in there to the original pull request that you made, Ted. Just in case people want to see the progression of things between the code that we actually modified in ROS 2 launch as opposed to what it looks like standalone.
Sure. And yeah, that's it.
Thanks. Anybody have any more questions about Launch Secure, where that stands? All right. So the other thing that I had on the agenda was just to follow up on the demos that we had. Last two meetings, we went through Move It and then the robotics middleware framework. And all that was just to look for a good use case or multiple use cases on implementing security on a real world system. Two reasons. One, just to get some good proof of concept, some demo that we could show folks how it's done. And another thing, if I understand it right, was for us to actually prove out and try out and experiment and do more work with the security options, get more granular with permissions and things like that. And if, for my part, as we were talking about both Move It and RMF, we heard opportunities, I think, to explore some of the features that we really wanted to dig into a little bit more. So my curiosity is where do we go from here? And one of the options is to look into this a little bit more, into pick some work to do with Move It or RMF. We could also look at just exploring some other frameworks, if there's something else that's come up since then. But with that, I'll throw it out to the group. What do you think? Where do you want to go from here?
I think if there are no further frameworks, these are both interesting candidates that we should be digging into further. The question is, should we just focus on one, or should we continue kind of looking at both of them to tease out which one is really the best candidate?
So a whole lot of silence. I'm wondering, does anybody have cycles that they plan to spend on doing this? Is this something that we can actually get done within the next not too distant future? And that would be actually working with either the RMF folks or the Move It folks to just put together a tutorial and demonstrate how to actually implement security based on their goals.
Sorry, I've been digging through the links that you guys had put up, so.
So on the RMF side, we are going to need security, so we do have cycles to spare on this. So from our side, we will be spending time on having secure ROS running along with RMF.
Marco, do you have any particular focus areas? I know one of the things that seemed very interesting to you was about certificate revocation. I don't know that we've gotten any further on answering your questions on that, but is there any other particular areas you want to focus on?
Okay, let me pull the list. I think regarding ROS, the revocation is the most important one right now, I would say.
Yeah, I get the feeling that the whole certificate chains and hierarchies also fits in with your concerns about hardware, and introducing bogus hardware, or some hardware goes missing or you lose control of it. I understood that right?
Yeah, correct. Um, Something that, so regarding third parties hardware, one of our concerns is if there's ways to somehow certify that certain levels of security on third party systems. Once you get into multiple robot systems, it becomes, and then we also talking about like multiple vendors, so it becomes, I feel like it becomes very tricky.
So this is interesting. I'll throw the same question out to the group in a very different way here. It feels like the RMF use case has a lot to do with implementing a solid certificate hierarchy. So the idea of having a CA or multiple CAs and intermediate CAs that are trusted, trying to revoke them. The idea of maybe even ceding some of that to a vendor or middlewares and so on. So there's a lot to explore there. I'll contrast that a lot with what seems to be the issue with MoveIt, where they are looking to do a lot more of the granularity of allowing certain nodes to do certain things, have read-only nodes, have permissions for debugging certain nodes without, other. So a lot more in writing the actual policy files. So I think, if we want to, just thinking this through, it seems like it makes sense to actually potentially work both use cases with just a different focus on two different areas that I think we want to spend more time on. So any reaction to that?
Roger, do you happen to know where we are currently with this sort of stuff?
Not off the top of my head, no.
Yeah, last I checked, we were in a sort of a state of flux, so.
So does anybody have any suggestions on, again, going back to where we want to go from here? Do we need to table this until our next meeting? Do we, have some cycles to spend on, working on RMF or on working on MoveIt? Sounds like everybody's pretty booked right now. So I know for myself, I'm digging a bit into MoveIt. MoveIt's pretty easy, ended up pretty easy to set up. So now I want to start, digging into applying some of the security features there. And I actually do have a meeting, potential meeting set up with Henning. I think it's probably later on next week. So.
Given that, Marco, you said you had some cycles to work on this on, at least on your side. Is there a way we can, would it be helpful to set up an out of band meeting where we can help bootstrap this a little bit more, or how can we support you?
I was thinking maybe I can try to come up with like a concrete list of issues, and then maybe we can discuss either on a separate meeting or maybe on next meeting.
Yeah, that would be
And
really helpful.
okay, yeah, I will do that.
So that actually, okay, thanks, Kyle. That helps. So let's proceed this way then. Marco, if I can ask you to tease out some more of the use cases, and then we'll put that on the agenda for our next meeting to actually look at what things you need help with, any problems you've encountered, or where you want to go from there.
And maybe we can prioritize there.
Yeah, we'll be able to prioritize. I'm going to do the same with Henning. I'll move it and see. He actually, after our meeting, he reached out and said he had thought of some more specific things that they wanted to do. So I'll reach back out to him and gather that and bring that to the next meeting as well. So we'll call that the way forward unless anybody has any comments. I'm sorry, Marco.
Yeah, no, sounds good. Thanks.
Okay. All right, so moving on, the only other thing that I had on the agenda is we did have our open quality issues. This is a discussion we've had towards the last half of last year. I did capture them in a kind of rough summary form in our meeting minutes, and I'm just going to leave them there. Just to keep them in front of us. So we wanted to keep them in front of us to see if we could continue making some progress on them. A lot of them were related to documentation, if you recall. So I don't know if anybody's had a chance to review them, or if you have any comments or anything has changed since the last time we looked at them.
Does anyone know it? Does anyone know if RCL Pi is trying to move to a higher quality level? All right, never mind. This is relevant, but not particularly relevant to the documentation bit.
I don't think I've ever heard of that before, so sorry.
Yeah, we had an issue with before we could declare a higher quality level, we needed our dependencies, which includes RCL Pi, which I think was at a standstill.
RCL Pi. Sorry.
Yeah.
I misheard it as axial pi, and I'm like,
Oh, that does sound robotics related, I suppose.
it does. I'm like, this wheel package.
All right, so let's just keep that in mind as you have an opportunity to work on that. That'd be great as well. And then we only had two action items that were still left on the list. One was had to do with our test failures, and one of them was actually on mine. Was to draft guidance for vendors on creating a vulnerability disclosure policy. Simply haven't worked on that because I haven't seen a lot of need for it. So I was kind of waiting for.
Yeah, it might make more sense to wait to be approached.
Yeah. So that's all I had on the agenda. Does anybody have any other new business or any new things to talk about that they wanted to cover?
Is this vulnerability disclosure policy somewhat similar to what MITRE is?
So it is. It's based on MITRE and related documents, but basically the original document was written so that the public, anyone pen testing against ROS or anything like that, would actually have a place where they could find a little bit of information about how to submit a vulnerability. So it was written for the non-ROS community, the external community, to just give guidance on how to report a vulnerability. Yeah, and Kyle linked to that, the rep. And that was what we had worked on that before you joined the group, I believe. All right, does anybody else have anything? Ruffin, you joined just in time for us to close.
Oh, well. Oopsie.
Hurry, add them to the attendee list.
Yeah, okay. All right, so if nobody has anything else, then I'll go ahead and call it, and we will see you next time. And yeah, Marco and I will try to gather some more detailed requirements about Move It and RMF. And we'll go from there. If you have anything, of course, always drop it in Matrix at any time. So. All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. And I'll see you in 2 weeks.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you guys. Bye.
Take care.